Hello and welcome back to the Amateur Chronicles. This is my first video with narration, so it's going to be interesting to see how this turns out. Hopefully you can hear me okay. It's my first time experimenting with a microphone attached to the front of my t-shirt. Now, in my previous video, you saw that I attempted to make some croutons, which turned out reasonably well. But this time I'm going to have another go at it because I thought some improvements could be made to the original. Now, as you can see from here, I've already skipped ahead to when the bread is already in the trays, because nobody wants to hear me trying to hack through cannonball bread again, because that was really unnecessary. So, as you can see, I've kind of spaced out generously on these two baking trays. I've put tinfoil underneath this parchment paper just as a little extra measure, because there's going to be a lot of oil on these trays, and I've got to hand wash them afterwards, so I don't want to get in oil everywhere. So, what we're going to do first is we're going to mix up the coating to go onto the croutons before we place them into the oven. Okay, so to start with, we just poured a bit of olive oil into this bowl here. I'm having to do all this on this tray so you can see it, because I've got a lot of room for a camera. Just a little bit of olive oil, not a lot, just to start with. If I need any more, obviously, add more as you go. So I've added some garlic granules just there. Getting some Italian style herb blend as well. Sprinkle in the Italian herbs as well. Generous amount. Depending on how strongly seasoned you want your croutons to turn out in the end. Which I didn't do. What I didn't do the last time was. Now, in the last video, I didn't add any salt and pepper, but this time I'm going to give it a try, see how it turns out. So that's just some standard sea salt and just some black pepper. And now, with a pastry brush, or any kind of brush you've got a hand to that's clean, just give it all a good mix around, and then taking some bread in hand, start to apply a good, even coverage to the bread. Now that both sides of the bread have been generously coated, I'm going to pop these into the oven, which is currently set at 200 degrees centigrade for about 25 to 30 minutes, depending on how they look after inspection, after about 20 or so minutes. Now, I have coated both sides of the bread using the oil and herb blend, so you definitely want to be using a relatively cheap oil that you're not going to feel too bad about using up, because you're going to need quite a bit of it. I don't know if this will work with, say, a sunflower oil or a vegetable oil or any other kind of cheap commercially available oils. Unfortunately, this is my kind of second time playing around this recipe, and this is kind of emulating what I found online. Anyway, I'm going to pop these in the oven and then we'll see how they turn out. As you can see, our croutons have now baked quite nicely in the oven. We've had a couple that have caught, but this was the tray that was on the top of the oven, so that's not the end of the world. Now I'm going to give these about 10 or so minutes just to sit out in the trays, just to cool off before trying one. But yeah, they've turned out really well. And here we are with the finished product now into a Tupperware ready for storage. I reckon they could probably keep for about 2 to 3 days in an airtight container. I wouldn't like to recommend keeping them for any longer, because unfortunately I don't know. Now, I have tried one off camera, because I don't think you need to hear me chewing one. The salt and the pepper have definitely added an extra depth of flavour that there wasn't in the previous ones, so I highly recommend that. I'm now going to whip myself up some tomato soup to enjoy these on before I try and tackle the washing up.